Joining us now is Peter Cardillo, who is the Chief Market Economist at Spartan Capital Securities, to talk more on the Brexit deal. Good morning, Peter. Peter, was this on expected line? They've rejected the no Brexit deal. Now, no deal Brexit, I beg your pardon. And also now today they'll vote on the extension of the timeline when Britain will leave the European Union. Do you think that they'll arrive at a conclusive decision today?
Yes, well, I suspect that the markets were expecting that the vote would go in defeat of May, and of course that's exactly what happened. And now, of course, the next move is to see whether or not they can extend the date. Now, that's going to become quite murky because I'm not sure if that will be able to, if they will be able to make a deal with the EU. So I think we could be headed for some short-term turbulence due to this British X deal, which seems to be more chaotic as it approaches the deadline. So the bottom line is that there's a good possibility that May have to resign. And if that would happen, then there's a possibility that maybe a new prime minister, a new government could cut out an extension deal with the EU.
They may be able to garner some kind of an extension, a one-off extension on the Brexit deal, but what are the chances now that Theresa May would be able to garner and get that support in her third attempt? Because what is the kind of changes exactly that the MPs would be impressed by now, or what are their demands now that could have them actually agree to the final vote whenever that happens, after an extension, that is?
Yeah, well, obviously the whole problem is the borderlines on in Northern Ireland, and so I think, and hopefully so, that perhaps as we get closer to the deadline, that perhaps they can avoid a chaotic divorce and come to some sort of an agreement to extend the deadline. But I think that the chances of that happening now, I would say, is probably 60% in favor of that happening and 40% that not happening. So I kind of think that if the whole of Parliament wants to avoid a very nasty divorce and suffer the consequences, that perhaps at the last minute, maybe some sort of a compromise or some sort of a deal can be reached.
But there seem to be only two options in front of PM May right now. It's either ask the public of Britain what they want, or perhaps try and work more closely with the Labour for closer EU-UK relationship going ahead. What is the likelihood of either of them happening? What is your sense telling you?
Well, I think that, that the general public obviously is somewhat split. But I think it does favor more to leave the EU. Obviously, the referendum was voted on that, but of course there are fractions that are holding out. The question is, will Parliament realize the disastrous position that they could be placed in if they don't come to some sort of an agreement? And if the May government should be toppled, that will only create more uncertainties. And so it's becoming somewhat of a very confusing moment in the history of Great Britain. But hopefully, at the end, that something can be worked out. And I am of the thought that perhaps there will be a last-minute adjustment.
All right, Peter, thank you for joining us this morning and giving us your view on the Brexit deal and what could go ahead after this crucial vote that happened today.